Hey, what is up, you sexy beasts? GhostSickness or Tristan here. And guys, I am back from my trip from PAX South. I left on Thursday, came back on Sunday, and I have a crazy fucking story for you. So the day I landed in San Antonio for PAX South, I got into a fucking car crash. Yes, a car crash. And I've never been in one before, right? So it was absolutely insane. And I didn't think I was going to be in one that day, but holy shit. So yeah, guys, I'm going to be telling you the story about how that happened. More stories about PAX South and everything like that coming soon. Like what I did Thursday, what I did Friday, what I did Saturday, and then, you know, coming home on Sunday and stuff like that. But guys, I'm just going to be making this its own video because it's fucking crazy and it deserves its own video. So let me start with the basics. I left on Thursday morning and I got to San Antonio around 1:30-ish, a little after 1:30. And so I'm in the airport. I'm like, okay, well, I got to call a taxi now, right? I got to get to the house. Mickey's not here yet. So I'm like, okay, well, oh, God. So I go outside and, you know, I tried calling taxi before. I got this app for Yellow Cab or whatever in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm like, okay, well, let's use this app or whatever. So I try calling them. They're like, dude, we already have a bunch of taxis there. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, so I walk outside and, yeah, they had a bunch of taxis outside, like just lining up, picking people up. And I'm like, okay, well, let me wait for a taxi, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm looking around and I finally get up off my phone and I'm walking around and I'm like, okay, well, let's find the nearest taxi and let's go to my destination. So I spot this one. It's a white Ford Escape and it has like a darker skinned man driving. I don't know what ethnicity he was, but he definitely wasn't African, definitely wasn't African American, and he definitely wasn't American or Mexican or anything like that. Like he was, looked Indian. I don't really know. He had a very interesting look to him, but we'll get into that as we move forward. So guys, I didn't want to be racist, right? I didn't want to, okay, well, I see this guy and I see a white guy, go with the white guy, right? So I'm just like, okay, well, this is the first guy I saw and he looks all right. So, you know, he drives a professional cab for Royal Cab. And I'm like, okay, well, let's fucking go. Let's get into his car. So I'm going up, I'm like looking at the prices and everything like that. I couldn't really understand it. It's all in like really weird and very interesting terms. So I'm like, okay, well, I get in the car. He, you know, kind of opens the door for me, and he's barely speaking any English at this point. This should have been my first warning, like, motherfucker, barely speaks any English, and so I get in the taxi, and I'm sitting down. I'm sitting in the back right, as you guys can see. Now I'll show the picture in a little bit, but I'm sitting in the back right, and I have my backpack over to my left, and I'm just sitting back there. He's obviously driving in the front left, as we do in Merca. And we're sitting back there, right? He's barely talking. He's like, okay, well, where do you want to go? And, you know, it's really hard to understand this guy because he's speaking in very broken English. It's barely English at all. You know, he's like, you know, destination. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, he didn't even want me to give me he didn't even want me to give him the address. He actually wanted me to guide him there. And I'm like, okay, well, my parents taught me about this, right? If you don't want to get ripped off, you're going to want to look at the directions on your phone and make sure they're going the right way and not going around in circles, charging you a shitload. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be pretty expensive. So let's fucking do this. The house is like 7 miles away. So I'm like, fuck. Oh, well, you know, I'm ready to pay. I got cash. I'm ready to pay this guy. Who gives a shit, right? So I'm in a taxi cab and we're driving forward. We're leaving the airport. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to want to go straight. And he's like, straight? I'm like, yes, straight. You know, and I had to like reaffirm the directions like 3 times. So, you know, I got it on Google Maps on my phone. I'm like, okay, well, we're going the right way, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to want to take a left up here. So he's like, left. And I'm like, Jesus, yes, left. Like, how do you not understand English and you're a fucking taxi cab driver? Like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not like saying anything rude about him or anything at this point. But I'm just kind of like, seriously? Okay, well, blah, 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 as long as we get there in a reasonable manner. So we're on the highway going a decent speed. I'm making sure he's not going too fast or anything like that. I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting back there. And we're on the highway for about 5 or, you know, 7 minutes. I don't even know. We're not on the highway for very long. And then we pull off onto the street, right? And so we pull off to the street and we're driving down. And so there's a light coming up. And then I'm like, okay, well, you're going to want to go straight through this light. And this is when it all happened, right? I said that exact sentence and the motherfucker was not even, like, he was slowing down, but he did not even come to a stop at this light. So it was a red light from our direction and it was an intersection, right? And so there's cars coming this way. Sorry, I can't see myself. Okay, so there's cars coming this way and we're driving up like this, right? So there's cars and we're driving. They're not going very fast, right? They're going, you know, 15, 20 miles an hour, about the speed at which we're going. And so it all happened really fast. Like, I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to want to go straight through this light. And I said that, right? And I don't know if he fucking misinterpreted that as, okay, yeah, just run through the light like, it's red, but who gives a shit, right? So he's driving And I'm sitting in the back right, like, okay, well, obviously he's going to come to a stop. He's slowing down a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Everything will be fine. No, he does not stop. He keeps going, and the light is red. And so I, look up from my phone only to realize that he's going through an intersection, just fucking hoping for that split second that there's not a car. And no, of course not. As you guys already know, of course a car is going to our right, and he fucking T-bones it. Like, it's going this way, all these cars are going this way, and I didn't even see it. Like, I barely saw it. This car is pretty high up. Like, it's not that high up, but it's higher up than, the low-down cars. And so it comes right from the fucking left, going right, and he just T-bones it right in the passenger side door. And I'm just sitting there like, holy shit. Like, so as it happened, I look up from my phone, I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to want to go straight through this light. He doesn't stop. He just goes. It's a red light, and it was definitely his fault because he fucking ran a red light. A taxi driver, man. Okay, so anyway, hits the car, right passenger side door, and then, I just kind of like jolted forward a little bit. My right knee drove into the seat there, and I'm just sitting there like, holy shit, because it didn't hurt that bad, right? It was just kind of like a sound wave, like a wave of just... it's really hard to explain. It did not hurt very bad, though, because we were obviously in the bigger car, not going very fast, and we T-boned them instead of them T-boning us. So, I'm just like, holy shit, this dumbass got in a car crash. I'm just sitting in the back seat like, oh my God, first time in a taxi, first time car crash. Like, what are the odds? I just got to Texas, and it's raining, as you can see from my flight coming down to San Antonio, and I'm just sitting back there like speechless. My jaw's at the floor. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I knew exactly what happened, but I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot believe a professional taxi cab driver just got in a wreck. So just caused a wreck, actually. It's not like we got hit and it was like, oh my God, those guys are being idiots. No, it was a taxi driver's fault, totally. So I'm sitting there like just fucking jaw to the floor, and I pull out my phone, right? I'm like, okay, well, look, I got to get some of this on pictures. Like, nobody's going to believe me otherwise. This is fucking crazy. So as you can see from the back right, where I was sitting, and my knee drove into the seat right in front of me. I was not sitting shotgun, luckily, or probably would have been injured a little bit more. No airbags went off that I saw. I don't know if his went off. I didn't see it go off. So I'm sitting in the back seat. My right knee drove into the fucking seat. That's the sustain of all my injuries. Like, I don't know. My neck didn't hurt very bad or anything like that. I don't know. I may still have injuries that may come up, a week or two later. But as of right now, I don't really know. I feel okay. So, I'm like looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, what do you want to do? So we kind of pull off to this side street. This is where the photo was taken. And we're just kind of stopped there. I thought he was going to drive off. I was really worried that he was just going to hit and run, and I'm just going to be a part of that. Like, holy shit, that's a felony, bro. Please don't do that. And so it looks like a Lincoln. I can't tell. I'm not a car expert, but it definitely looks like a Lincoln. I don't really know. And he totally T-boned this car. I'm sitting back there, just kind of speechless. We're talking about it. He stops the meter, obviously. The meter's up to like $18.44. And so I'm just sitting back there like, okay. So I grab my backpack and I get out of the car, just to kind of examine the scene of the crime. So I go up and I'm approaching this car, right? And I'm just like, holy shit, it's pulled to the side of the street. No cars are moving on the street because obviously they're blocking this two-way road. And if you zoom in on the car, I will do so for you guys. You can see the entire right passenger door is just completely caved in. Now, obviously the glass shattered, and it shattered all over the two ladies. You can see a lady sitting in the front left, and there's actually a lady sitting in the front right. As you'll see, it was fucking insane, right? So the whole door just completely caved in, and I don't even think she could open it. Like, I can't imagine she could. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the damage on this car. Now, the damage on his car was definitely a lot less, but really, really noticeable. Like, oh my God, the whole front, like, face almost came off. And he's driving a Ford Escape, pretty big car. You can see him a little bit on the left there. And I'm just like, oh God, this intersection is being a dumbass, like, seriously. So I'm like, okay, well, not only am I going to take pictures of it, I'm going to take 3 fucking selfies with it. So there's my face. I'm just like, holy shit. I'm just, standing there, don't know what to do. I had no idea. And then I took another one, more normal one. But as you can see the car in there really dinged up, and you can see me in there at the intersection. Now, these are paramedics and pulling her out of the car. I don't know how they got the door open or how they got her out, but they did get her out. And I was just kind of standing there, and there's a paramedic right there. And then looking back, you can see the fire truck, as well as you can see the paramedic. And right behind there's a cop, obviously. So they're pulling the woman out. You can see the woman. Shit. One sec. I went full screen. My bad. You can see the woman standing right there to the left, you know, being assisted and helped by paramedics. And they asked me if I was okay, and I felt okay, so I said I'm okay. And they asked me if I wanted to go to the hospital. I said no. And one of the cops, you know, the officer that was on scene, demands that I come up there. I'm like, okay, well, can I get your name? Are you injured? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. Just get it on record. And I said I was feeling okay, but I don't know if any more injuries will come. And so, you know, I give him my name, and then you can see the taxi cab driver right here. Obviously, you know, I'm not trying to be racist, but motherfucker, dude. He barely spoke English. That should have been my first warning sign. You know, I'm in a new city, right? Having to guide the taxi cab drivers is really, really bad idea. If they don't speak English, then definitely just don't ride with them, because that's fucking bullshit. Because I was, you know, trying to start conversation with him, and he would barely talk to me, like, hey, how's it going today? You know, whatever. And he talked on the phone, like, I don't know if he's speaking Indian. I don't know what he was speaking, but it wasn't Spanish and it wasn't English. I could tell that much. So, guys, it was crazy. Then I ended up getting another taxi ride to the house. Now, the worst part about this shit, the fucking worst part is not like the little bruise to my knee or anything like that, or even that it happened, is, you know, still fucking mad. Is that I actually had to pay the taxi driver before I left. You know, I was leaving. I really shouldn't have paid him, guys. I really shouldn't have. After talking to the cop, you know, I was right by his car. And, you know, after we talked a little bit, he said there was no charge. You know, I was waiting, just watching this shit happen. And I called my dad. I'm like, hey, you're never going to believe what happened. I got in a wreck. And he's like, oh, shit. You know, because I'm really far away from my family. And so this is just crazy. You know, I'm just a kid, right? I mean, I'm technically an adult, but I'm a kid, guys. Trust me. It's just ridiculous. So I called him and told him, and then, God, he was mad. And so, you know, I called another taxi waiting for him, because I'm not riding with this fucker. Like, fuck that. We're only 2 miles from our destination. He gets in a wreck. Like, pathetic. So, yeah, I basically got back to the house, and then I called, you know, the company and everything that day, or to get information on the taxi cab driver and report the incident and make sure if anything does happen to my neck that I can receive proper compensation, because that was dumb, and I had to pay him. I just gave him $20 and walked off and got in the next taxi, which only cost me $10 to get to the house. And, you know, like, okay, well, I'm at the house. I got to the house safely. After that, I was at the house safely, but God, this guy ruined my whole start to the day. But other than that, my trip was fucking awesome. I'm alive. I'm safe. Everyone in there was alive and okay. The women had some glass shattered over them. He appeared fine. I don't fucking know, nor do I care. Yeah, you should really not run red lights, guys. Moral of the story, I fucking love you. I'm all right. Don't worry about me. They're okay. Everybody's okay. Nobody died. And, you know, the girls got treated at the hospital and everything like that. It was all good. So, guys, remember, I fucking love you, and have a great day. Stay safe out there.